So, if you own a private medical practice, you know the deal. You got into this to heal people, but, well, the business side of things can feel like a totally different job, right? It's a constant distraction. The big question is, how do you grow your practice without letting the quality of care slip? We're going to dive into that today by looking at a clinic that figured out a really smart way to do it. And this is it. This is the heart of everything. It's your why. I mean, nobody goes through med school dreaming of managing spreadsheets and payroll. You do it for the patients. This mission, well, it's the fuel that gets you through the long nights and the tough cases. But here's the catch, the tough reality. While your mission is laser-focused on clinical care, your day-to-day life is just swamped by business complexity. We're talking insurance headaches, overhead costs, staffing issues, and, as we're about to see, some really tricky financial details that can literally make or break a practice. And all of this brings us to what you could call the doctor's dilemma. It's this constant, high-stakes balancing act. On one hand, you have to deliver top-notch patient care. On the other, you have to keep the business that supports it all financially healthy. You can't have one without the other. They're totally linked. So to see how this plays out in the real world, let's meet our case study, ShillMed. Now, this isn't just any clinic. It was founded by Dr. Otto Shill, and it's a top-tier, super specialized practice up in Spokane, Washington. They focus on medical weight loss and hormone therapy, a perfect example of a modern, forward-thinking clinic. So, when a patient walks into a clinic like ShillMed, everything feels seamless, professional, and focused on them. But behind the scenes, it's a whole different story. There's this whirlwind of operational complexity that's just churning away to keep the lights on. Okay, let's pull back the curtain on these hidden complexities. First up, you've got these hybrid revenue streams. See, ShillMed isn't just getting paid for appointments. They also offer memberships and they sell supplements. Second, there's inventory management. Those supplements they sell, they have to buy them first. That's called the cost of goods sold, or COGS. If you don't track that properly, you have no real idea what your profit is. And third, you're navigating a really complex regulatory environment, like very specific state tax laws. It's a lot to juggle. So what happens when you try to manage all these different moving parts with, just some generic accounting software or a bookkeeper who doesn't get the medical world? You end up in a place we're calling the financial fog. And this definition just nails it. Financial fog is that awful, gut-wrenching feeling where you look at your bank account and it looks pretty good, but you have no idea if your practice is actually profitable. You're flying blind, making big decisions without a clear view. So let me ask you this directly. In your own practice, do you know which part is the real moneymaker? Is it the patient services? Is it the products you sell? If all that money is just getting dumped into one big pot, you have zero visibility, and you absolutely cannot make smart business decisions without that visibility. Okay, so how do you get out of that fog? How do you clear the air? This is where the specialist advantage comes in. It's all about making that critical shift from dangerous guesswork to absolute financial clarity. And really, it boils down to something this simple. A generalist bookkeeper, they see income and they guess how to categorize it. But a specialist, someone who lives and breathes the finances of a medical practice, they know. They know the nuances, they know the regulations, they know exactly how your business works. Think about it. In your clinical work, guessing is never an option. Why should it be okay for your finances? Here is a perfect, concrete example of what I'm talking about. In Washington state, there's something called a B&O tax. But here's the trick. The money you make from patient services gets taxed under one classification, and the money from selling supplements gets taxed under a completely different one, at a different rate. A specialist knows this instantly. A generalist might lump it all together, and that could lead to huge problems and penalties if you get audited. And this is the payoff right here. When you have that specialized oversight, you get proper categorization of your money, you get accurate cash flow forecasting so you know it's coming, and you are ready for an audit at any time all year long. Just imagine that. No more panic when tax season rolls around. So what Dr. Shill did by bringing in a specialist really points to a bigger, powerful strategy. It's this idea of a circle of competence. It just means focusing on what you do best, in this case being an amazing doctor, and then building a team of experts to handle the rest. That is the secret to scaling your practice without burning yourself out. All right, let's boil this entire case study down to 4 key takeaways for any practice owner. Number 1, separate your revenue streams. You need to know what's coming from services versus what's coming from products. 2, watch your cost of goods sold. Remember, that inventory on your shelf is basically just cash sitting there. 3. You have to understand your local tax laws. And finally, number 4, and this is probably the most important one, delegate. Focus on your genius, on being the medical expert, and build a team of experts around you for everything else. Which brings us to our final question for you. You are a specialist. You would never dream of compromising on the quality of your clinical care. You provide specialized treatment to your patients. So the question to leave you with is this. Is your back office, the very engine that powers your entire practice, as specialized as you are?